So this is a wee story I first told in the worldstorytellingcafe.com. Very nice place. And it's a wee story that not only is it true, but I've actually got the scars to prove it right here on the side of my neck. Those scars have been there all my life. So the story starts off actually when I was first learning to walk. What happened was I've been told this story so many times. It's almost as if I imagine it. It's almost as if I was there and I remember it clearly, but I actually don't. I've just been told this story so many times, you'd think I had been there. Anyway, so I was first learning to walk, must have been the late 80s, 88, 89, something like that. And our little garden was on a slope. It was a nice, comfortable bit of grass, but it was on a slope. And at the bottom of the slope, there was a rose garden, which, if you're an adult, is perfectly nice and perfectly sustainable when you're gardening in the sunshine. However, when I was learning to walk, I was a pudgy child. And I was a wee bit lazy as well. So I used to love walking down the hill to the roses, but I never really liked turning around again and walking back up the hill. What I would normally do instead was walk around the roses and walk into the back garden and walk into the kitchen and probably have a jammy dodger or two or a wagon wheel back then. So one day I was waddling along the little bit of the garden towards the roses, and being my clumsy little self, I decided, I'm not very well balanced. And what happened was I fell flat over into the roses, which meant my face, my hands, my arms and my legs cut to shreds on the roses, and my face tattered and torn. I had to go to hospital. So I was rushed to hospital by my family, my parents. But when I got there to the understaffed hospital, there was an issue. There was a car crash at the time, and obviously, instead of prioritising a rather clumsy, pungy, quite ugly, little baby, they decided to prioritise the car crash, as you would. They said, well, if he's fine in a day or two, he'll be okay. If he takes a turn, bring him back. I never went back. But for the rest of my life, I had a tiny little scar and a lump of the rose thorn that went into my neck right here. Anyway, flash forward a couple of years. Must have been summer holidays. Between school, July, August, I must have been 8 or 9 years old. I was up the back forest where my granddad and my brother used to fish. My grandmother used to make us sandwiches. I was taking the dogs up round there one day. And as dogs do, they don't really see footpath, as humans do. We decided to just go off the beaten track. And when we went off the beaten track, I thought, why not? Bit different. They're dogs. I know the forest. Not a problem. When you walk in a forest, when you're quite literally off the beaten track, the ground is rather all over the place. Can you get stable footing? Of course you can't. And I think we've ascertained from now, I have a terrible tendency to fall over. Guess what happened? Was walking along, following the dogs, and all of a sudden, I fell down a shoch. Now, shochs being shocks in forest, muddy, wet, filthy, and lots of trees around it, so nobody seen me fall over. Or so I thought. Well, the dog certainly didn't anyway. Somebody seen me fall over, because at the end of the shoch, right off to one side, was a skiack. And that was a problem. Because if there's a fairy tree, or a skiack, or a white thorn bush, near you, that's where the fairies live. And no human from our world seen me fall over, but the fairies certainly did. And that was a bit of a problem. So, what they did, they came out of where they were, and they took one look at me and went, They picked me up, and they took me to their world, just like that, just for falling down a shoch and banging into their skiack, although I didn't really mean to, and I didn't know it was there. Anyway, They took me along to their world, which, weirdly enough, isn't actually too dissimilar to ours. Do you ever have that feeling when you put your glasses on that you kind of see double of a little bit of everything momentarily? It looked a bit like that. So they carried me through the forest, and they had a lot going on in the forest. It wasn't just a quiet forest. There was loads happening. So they carried me past a few groups of ones. I could see them laying out a feast on a big table. There was going to be some meal had tonight, boys. You could see all the food in the world. There was some really nice lamb. There was a nice bit of pork. Oh, the champ with the fresh butter on it. Nice bit of veggies. The pastries going out. Oh, geez, that looked really nice. Kept going on a wee bit more. You could see a bunch of lads putting out the instruments for the night. There was the bow and the fiddles. Oh, Jesus, the ceilidh was going to be some crack the night anyway. And we kept on going on till I got to what must have been not a bathroom, but certainly a changing room of sorts, or a something like that. Anyway, showering area, something or other. Anyway, they started to clean me up, get all the mud off me, get all the dirt off me. There was bloody grass in my ears, for Christ's sake. Just get everything tip-top and clean. Because I knew then, even because my granny had told me stories a long time ago, if a fairy can catch you, take you to their world, and have you cleaned up and looking spick and span before the sun goes down, you're forever in their world. You're not going home. They tried to clean me up. They started to try to feed me. I knew not to eat anything from the fairies. I certainly didn't. I was trying to hold my own anyway. It was bloody hard work. That food looked amazing. They cleaned me all up. I was looking spick and span. I was looking fantastic. And the food looked really good, but I didn't touch it. But I could see the sun going down over the horizon. I thought, oh, geez, here, that's me in trouble. I'm not going to get out of here. As soon as I could see that final little slither of light along the horizon at the top of the Antrim Hills, it disappeared down over the horizon, and I thought, oh, that's me done. But all of a sudden, they all disappeared. The fairies disappeared, the music disappeared, the food disappeared. I'm still clean now. I looked around me. I'm back in that shock. I looked over at the end of the shock, and there's the two dogs looking at me as if they just expected me to be there the whole time. I was clean as a whistle, standing in a shock. The two dogs were pigging, mind you, and really hungry. So I started plodding my way home as I normally did. It was just down the road anyway. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, I'm in some trouble. I've been out for all hours. Sun's gone down. I'm still in the forest with the two dogs. Look at the state of them. And I'm really clean. I'm not going to get shouted at for once. Anyway, I got home and me ma, first thing she said, where were you? What time are you doing out night this time? I told her the whole story. Told her the fairies had me. She came over, pulling my hair and pulling my ears, pulling my cheeks and making sure it's me and poking me and prodding me, just in case I was a fairy shapeshifter that had taken the place of me and I was stuck in their world and they'd sent the fairy to us instead. She couldn't find anything wrong with me. It's actually quite painful the way she was poking me that much. Anyway, my dad comes over. He goes, how long? He raises my chin so I'm looking up. He pokes my neck. Get away with that. He goes, I can still feel your lump in your neck. You're grand. I know it's you. He was poking for the thorn in my neck because he knew straight away that the fairies weren't going to know that was there. Even if there's a scar there, they could clean that scar, but they didn't know there was a thorn stuck in my neck. So, turns out, even though my own stupidity, my own clumsiness as a pudgy little baby could have got me killed, could have got me stuck in the fairy world, I'm grand. I know I have an immunity to going to the fairies because none of them know I have a thorn stuck in my neck and I have the scars to prove it. So there you go. If you ever get nipped by a nettle, if you ever get stuck by a thorn in Ireland, that's not a bad thing. You're perfectly safe from the fairies. Hopefully.